In today's episode, an auditor is filming a council building from a public footpath. That's it, completely legal and completely routine. But within minutes, officers are demanding his details, suggesting he may be a terrorism risk, and threatening to seize his camera. When he simply walks away, they follow him down the street. This is one of those encounters where escalation comes first, and the justification gets pieced together afterwards. Let's get straight into it.
Can I help you?
No, not at all, thanks.
I'm just wondering what you're doing.
I'm just explained to one of the civic enforcement officers I'm filming.
What are you filming?
Anything I can see from public.
Right, and is there a reason behind that?
It's for a story.
Right, okay. Can I take your details, please?
What would you like my details for?
Because obviously in the interests of public safety and everything like that, when somebody is out filming and having a look around public buildings,
Right.
we have a duty of care
Right.
to check you out.
What, a duty of care to whom?
To the general public.
I'm part of the general public.
Yes.
I don't have to give you my details then.
The officer opens the encounter with a blatant lie, telling Matt he has to provide his details. Let's be crystal clear. For the 500th time, in England and Wales, there's no general power that requires a member of the public to identify themselves to a police officer. Unless you are driving or the officer has reasonable grounds to issue a Section 50 notice for antisocial behavior, there is no legal obligation to provide your details. You also have the right to remain silent in these situations. When an interaction starts with something that is legally incorrect, it usually sets the tone for how the rest of the encounter is going to go.
What's the issue?
There isn't an issue.
I'm just wondering why he's filming public buildings.
Yeah,
Well,
why?
I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can.
because we
Hang on, wait a minute. I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can see from a public place, including council buildings that are owned by the public.
Okay, we have concerns about public safety.
And your concerns are?
We don't know who you are and
That's
what
not a concern.
links it is.
It isn't.
In the day and age that we are in,
Are you accusing me of being a terrorist?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but
Do you have
I
reasonable
am
suspicion to
duty-
believe that I'm up to
I think-
anything other than...
I don't know what you're
Right.
up to.
Go on to Google filming in public. It'll and even
Don't
legislation.
tell me what I need to do.
Right, well, don't tell me that I need to give you my details when I know that I don't. Okay? Can I ask you to identify yourself? You haven't got any numbers on your billets?
1,000.
1,000. And name?
Sarah Bainbridge.
And yours?
2629. You're also on body cam.
Yeah, that's fine. And you're based here?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, I'm based out of Darlington.
Right, okay, excellent. Hello there.
Oh yeah, you're
Hello.
This gentleman is filming. He's now refusing to give any details, and
I'm not obliged to.
I can't understand why he's out filming buildings, council buildings, refusing to give any details in light of the incidents that we're having around the area at the moment.
And those incidents, whatever they may be, no concern of mine,
But
nothing
I
to do
don't
with
know
me.
who you
Well-
are, and I can't check you out.
Well, you don't need to.
Yes, I do, because I have a duty of care to
I'll
the
tell
public.
you what it is, mate. It's anti-terrorism.
There's no terrorist threat at the moment.
But I don't know who you
what
are.
What do you mean there's no terrorist threat? At the
There's-
moment, we're still on high.
Another officer arrives, and instead of de-escalating, he doubles down. Here's what you need to understand about threat levels. The UK terrorism threat level is set by MI5 and ranges from low to critical. But these threat levels are used for national security planning. They do not create extra police powers on the street. So even if the threat level is substantial or severe, it does not give officers the right to demand ID from photographers. The legal powers stay exactly the same. Section 43 of the Terrorism Act 2000 allows an officer to stop and search someone they reasonably suspect of being involved in terrorism. But that reasonable suspicion must be based on specific behavior or intelligence, not simply filming with a camera or recording a council building. Guidance from the National Police Chiefs Council is also clear. Photography in public places is not, on its own, grounds for Section 43. So if terrorism powers are invoked purely because someone is filming, that raises serious questions about whether the power is being applied correctly.
No terrorist threat at the moment, and nor has there been over the past 5 years towards any public buildings.
That's a lie, because there was one yesterday, actually.
Was there? Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well,
Where was
there
that?
you go.
So where was
we
that?
don't know.
So here.
Yes, it was actually.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
one to the council officers as well.
Right. In Darlington.
By an unknown male.
Right.
There was a bomb hoax yesterday.
Was there?
At 11 o'clock yesterday morning.
Right.
By an unknown male at one of accountable for us that could possibly be used.
Right. Well, that's nothing to do with me. No
That's
concern of
why
mine.
you're
How do we
Challenge
know
with your
that?
Well,
It's just
were
why
they
I'm asking
were
for your
they
details.
stood outside with a mobile phone?
Look, we're not getting into this.
Well-
I am now asking you to leave the area because I feel that you,
On what grounds?
because you are
No,
alarming the public.
No. Which section of the law? You give me the section of the law, I'll quite happily move.
You just need.
Beg your pardon? I'm just
I never said one word.
The auditor responds with a simple challenge. Name the section of law, and he'll comply. And that's actually a strong test in practice. Under Pace Code A, when officers carry out stop and search, they must clearly state the legal power they're using, explain the grounds, and provide their details, including name and station. These are not optional, they're procedural requirements. So if an officer can't identify the specific section they're relying on, it often raises questions about whether that power actually exists in that moment. Here, the pause says a lot. No clear answer is given, and that silence effectively becomes the response. If the authority is legitimate, it should be easy to explain, and that's a useful approach for anyone. If a demand is made, ask for the legal basis. If it can't be provided, you know where you stand.
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm not going to talk to anybody.
Because we're filming you as well.
That's fine. It's public.
Just stand
It's
here
perfectly
until you
okay.
move out of the
It's
way.
okay, perfectly okay to film in public, which is what I was explaining to your colleague.
I'll just stand here.
You can stand there as long as you want. So apparently there was a bomb hoax yesterday in Darlington. I didn't see anything in the media. However, it might just have been overlooked. The architecture on those buildings is quite similar to those ones. And that's 1903. It doesn't say on the front of this building when this was built. But the architecture, like I say, is quite similar. I know it used to be a school, and currently being stalked by an officer.
You gave me your details, and I could
Right, so
be happy that there is nothing
my details
untoward.
won't give you any other information.
I would like to check you out
Well-
so that I am happy that I can leave you unattended on
You-
the side
you
of
can.
the road.
She keeps pushing for his details, saying she wants to check him out, and that she can't leave him unattended without knowing who he is. Let's be clear about what powers actually exist when it comes to demanding identification. Section 50 of the Police Reform Act 2002 allows an officer to require a name and address if they have reason to believe someone is involved in antisocial behavior. But antisocial behavior has a specific legal meaning. It refers to conduct that has caused, or is likely to cause, harassment, alarm, or distress. As seen here, filming a building, standing on a pavement, or simply being unknown to an officer does not meet that threshold. Section 1 of PACE allows stop and search for stolen items or items intended for use in crime, but only where there is reasonable suspicion of specific prohibited articles. A camera does not fall into that category. Section 43 of the Terrorism Act allows stop and search in cases where there is reasonable suspicion that someone is involved in terrorism, but filming alone does not provide that suspicion. So if none of these legal powers apply, then there is no lawful basis to demand identification in that moment. It really is that simple. This is exactly why I created my Know Your Rights guide. Download it from the first link in the description.
No, you've got no actual reason other than curiosity as to why I'm filming to be stood here
I want
asking.
to know who you are
Well,
to
I
make
don't-
sure.
I don't have to identify myself, and you're well aware of that. I know the law just
Right,
as much
very
as you.
shortly, I will to prevent a breach of the peace.
You can't prevent a breach of the
I
peace
can prevent
if
a breach
none
of
was
the
going
peace.
to take place. I'm not breaching anybody's peace.
I have colleagues and members of the council staff who were very concerned about why you were out here filming in light of the incidents
I'm
yesterday.
filming a story. I'm not filming in light of those incidents.
Well,
those incidents weren't even known to me until you made them aware.
Prove or negate either way, all I want is your details to make sure that no members of the public are a threat
They're
by
not.
you. Well,
My details wouldn't give you any more information about that.
people tell me every day
Well,
how good they are.
I'm not saying I'm not saying.
threat.
Hang on, I'm not saying I'm good. What I'm saying, I'm not denying either way.
Everybody says all the time with interactions with the police, it wasn't me,
That's because
I'm no threat.
That's because your interaction, instead of accepting what I'm doing is perfectly legal, is to cite laws that don't exist. Say that
cited a law that doesn't
you
exist.
told me that you were going to move me. You can't move me without that section, without the powers under a section.
Then she says, I'm going to prevent a breach of the peace. This is a power that gets misused quite often, so it's important to be precise about what it actually means. Breach of the peace is a common law power, and it allows police to act when violence is happening or is about to happen. But none of that is present here. There's no violence, no confrontation, no disorder, just a man with a camera answering questions. Breach of the peace is not a general discomfort tool. It isn't triggered just because officers are frustrated or uneasy. It requires a real and imminent risk of violence. So if it's used when nothing is actually unfolding, it's reasonable to ask a simple question. What violence is imminent right now?
I have reasonable grounds to believe you...
If you're asking me to move,
Yes.
right, and you can state me a section of the law, I'll move quite happily. That's a perfectly reasonable request.
It's fine, because we've got supervision
do you
coming in.
understand what the current levels of threat at the moment?
Right, if there has
You know
been,
what the word eminent means, I'm sure you do. You seem like an intelligent
if there
person.
has been a threat yesterday of some sort, then yes, I can understand.
Right. So
But
now you understand.
but I wasn't aware of that until you told me.
Right.
And
So now that's why we need your details.
well, you don't need my details.
Yes, we do.
So do you have the details whoever it was who you spoke to yesterday?
You know what's going to happen, right? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to end up getting arrested.
For what?
Right? Listen,
No, for
we're
what?
speaking to a supervision at the moment, okay? Based on the current threat levels and the incident that happened
now we'll
yesterday,
get an
that
order out.
ended up getting seized, okay, under the terrorism laws, okay?
Your body cameras will also be made public knowledge to me, and I'll use them.
That's fine. I want to know.
I just
we wanna
can't
know
see
who
why
you
you're
are.
being
Well,
so obstructive.
I'm not
Come
being
along.
obstructive at all.
You are being
I'm
You
not
are.
obliged. No, there's no obstruction because I'm not obliged by law to give you
Well, that's
unless
fine,
you
you can fight that in court then.
unless you
Yeah.
reasonably assume that I don't need to because it wouldn't go to court.
Well, you're being
You'd be looking at a lawsuit.
The officer loses patience, threatens arrest, and talks about seizing the camera under terrorism legislation. Let's be clear about seizure. Under Section 43, police can seize items they reasonably suspect are evidence of terrorism, but that requires genuine, specific grounds for suspecting terrorism, not just the presence of a phone or camera recording a public building. Footage of a public building, taken from a public place, is not in itself evidence of terrorism. So, without proper grounds, seizing equipment becomes legally questionable and must be carefully justified. The Protection of Freedoms Act 2012 also reinforced protections around photography, making clear that filming in public places is lawful and should not automatically be treated as suspicious activity.
Being obstructive, I don't care.
I'm not being obstructive at all.
care.
Refusing to give my details when being asked is not an
Listen,
obstruction.
You've asked for our details, okay?
Because I'm, as a member of the public,
Yeah.
and you've been civil servant, you are legally obliged to give me those details upon request.
You've obviously got nothing else better to do.
Well, but that's my concern, not yours.
Yeah.
Filming is a perfectly legal activity.
Because we don't know why you are filming.
But I've told you why I'm filming, for a story,
A story for what?
for YouTube, for my blog.
Right, so who are you? If
I
you-
don't have to identify myself. And you're well aware of the law regarding identification, stop and search powers and procedures.
It's fine. At the moment, my colleagues are on to senior officers so that we can have a power of stop and search to get your details.
Good luck with that. You're detaining me.
I'm not detaining you.
So you just said to me I'm not going anywhere
well,
at the
listen,
minute.
Listen, where do you intend to go next? Because I'm just going to follow you, right?
That's no concern of yours.
Right, well, listen, I'm just going to follow you because we need to speak to you about what you're doing.
You can follow me wherever you like,
that's fine then,
but
alright.
don't tell me that I'm not going anywhere
Alright.
because that's a threat of detainment unlawfully.
Then comes the question of detention. He says the auditor is not going anywhere at the moment, but then also says he will follow him wherever he goes. This is where it becomes important to understand what detention actually means. Detention doesn't require handcuffs or the word arrest. If you are not free to leave, you are effectively being detained. That is the legal test. Case law makes this clear. If a reasonable person would not feel free to walk away, then they are considered detained, and detention must be supported by lawful grounds. So the key point is simple. If you're not being lawfully detained, you are free to leave. And if someone physically prevents that, then they must be able to justify that detention under law.
Right, listen.
Okay.
Would you like to come back round to the police station
I don't
while
need
we
to.
speak to you?
No, I don't need to.
You don't need
No.
to. Right, where are you going now?
I'm not telling you.
I'm going to follow you then, okay?
You follow me.
Follow-up matters. A complaint was filed, and the outcome reportedly involved training on data protection. That suggests the stop wasn't handled cleanly, and something in the way personal information was managed didn't meet the required standard. Here's what you should know about complaints. Every police force has a professional standards department, and cases can also be escalated to the IOPC, the Independent Office for Police Conduct. Body-worn footage can be requested through a subject access request under GDPR. You generally have the right to request personal data, and forces usually have up to 30 days to respond. If officers acted improperly, that footage becomes key evidence. So it's important to request and preserve it. What we saw today follows a pattern. Officers unable to clearly state legal powers while still demanding compliance. Misuse or overextension of concepts like duty of care. Threats of terrorism powers without clear grounds. Breach of the peace raised without violence. And then following after no clear basis held. But equally important is what the auditor did right. He asked for the legal basis, challenged claims calmly, walked away when he was not detained, and later submitted a complaint that led to internal training. This is what knowing your rights looks like. It doesn't require aggression, just understanding the law well enough to respond properly. And if you want that knowledge, there are guides available that break down police powers, common tactics, and how to respond in these situations.